Hi, this is Vicki from Learning Home Volunteers, and welcome to our learning session about water. Did you know that 3% of the world's water is fresh water and the rest is salt water? Did you know that water is the only substance on Earth that can be found in all three forms: solid, ice, liquid, water, and gas, a cloud? And did you know all the different types of bodies of water? Oceans, lakes, streams, rivers, puddles. So many words for our little learners to learn. And then I found out, my daughter taught me, that humans are 70% water. And that not only do humans enjoy playing in the water, but there are many animals that actually enjoy it. And in fact, the Olympics, which just started, features a lot of water sports, including swimming, marathon swimming, diving, synchronized swimming, water polo, rowing, surfboarding, kayaking, just to name a few. And we hope that you take the opportunity to actually watch some of those water sports with your kids. I think they'll be so impressed. Well, you can see there are so many things to explore about water, so we should get started. Our books this session feature three different perspectives on water. The first book talks about how we actually get water from our faucet and traces it back to where the water comes from. I love the illustrations. Our next little book, a very simple kind of book that would have been given to a baby, is a book about the beginning of the water cycle, a little raindrop and his journey through the water cycle. Very sweet little story. And then our last book's one of my girls' favorite because it's so silly and the illustrations are so rich, is King Bidgood's in the Bathtub. The king is in the bath and he won't get out, and each person comes up with a new idea of how to get the king out of the bath. Very cute. And I, hoped it would inspire me to be able to find a way to get my little girls out of the bath as well, but it was not that helpful. All right, well, let's take a look at activity number one. Activity number one is water exploration. And in your box, you're going to find a bin where all your water exploration can happen. You can put the bin outside, fill it with water, and let the exploration begin. Your little one is going to get to explore pouring water from different containers to another, and we know they will not be able to successfully pour without mistake, but learning is about making mistakes, and this exploration is going to allow them to try. You will see your child, just even in the same week, make gains in pouring water, which, by the way, is really tricky. As we tilt the container, the weight shifts in what you're holding, and it's hard to control the flow. You can create challenges as they become more competent by marking a line on the container they're pouring into to where you want it to be filled to. This will require additional control and have an understanding of the speed of the transfer of the liquid. We're also going to learn about water displacement. So that's when you actually add something to water. The water line will actually rise or go down based on you taking things in and out. So allowing them to put their cars and cups and basters and rocks in the water will actually help illustrate that. Um, we've also provided a lot of really fun things to work with the water on. Funnels to move water into a different opening is fun, and sometimes when you pour the water quickly, it'll actually result in a water vortex or a whirlpool. Using the droppers requires them to suck the water in and then push on the dropper to make it go out. And moving water from one container size and shape to another shows that the same volume of water can look different in different containers. And then you can add things from your house: a spoon, a fork, an ice cube tray, different temperature waters, maybe a sponge. All of this will change how the water exploration actually happens and will add more richness to the exploration with the new materials that you add. Our second activity, activity number two, really features water states and the water cycle. For the water cycle, we've actually provided a card, a piece of paper that's printed on both sides, or maybe in two pieces of paper, that shows the different steps of the water cycle, starting with rain falling to the ground, precipitation. The water is then collected and runs through all of the underground areas where it's actually cleaned and moved to larger bodies of water. And as the sun shines, the water begins to evaporate and go up to the sky where the cold air makes it condense into clouds, and then we're back to rain. But this precipitation, water collection and cleansing, evaporation and condensation, don't be afraid to use these big words. I mean, they don't know any other ways of talking about it, and introducing these vocabulary things is easy. They'll use it just as though they'd use the word cat or dog. Um, Okie dokie, so the next part of the water states and cycle is actually to try to see if we can replicate that water cycle using a little experiment. So we have provided a bottle with blue water in it, and we think of the bottle as our world, and you can see easily how that cycle happens. When we deliver the bottle to your home, the water's all collected and sits at the bottom like this, right? And you want to put your bottle in a sunny window, and as it heats up, you'll begin to see dots of blue water. You can see here, there's one, move up the sides of the bottle. This is as the heat comes up, it begins to evaporate up into the higher areas. And then as it cools down, say at night, the bottle will condensation, and the water will all come back to the bottom of it by the morning. So we'll get to see the full water cycle using this little bottle with colored water, which I hope you guys enjoy. Being that water is the only substance on the earth that we can actually see all three states very easily of what actually happens, we thought it'd be fun for us to actually do some experiments. So while you're working on your water cycle cards and your experiment, if you could put a couple ice trays in the freezer. And once they're frozen, what we want to do is take those ice cubes out and let them melt in the sun by putting them in your water bin and going outside. So you can help a lot in kind of the learning that happens here by asking questions, So what do you think the ice is going to turn into once it's melted? I'm not sure that children understand that ice is actually just a different state of water, a hard state, or whether or not it's something special that the water comes off of the ice completely. But asking some questions will help them kind of freeze that in their mind. And then you could ask, is there anything you could do to make the melting go faster? If you add more ice cubes, does that help? Or what about putting them in water? What about adding salts or warm water? We can't wait to hear how your child made the water melt faster. Why does your child think that happened? What's their idea? And then, can they think of any way to create evaporation? And I'll give you a hint. The sun makes it hotter so it can evaporate. So maybe we could make it hot too. Well, we hope you enjoy this week of exploration and come back next week for some water art and using water to help us with learning academic contents. Thank you.